Welcome everyone to another video, Vinyl Addict, and my name is Chili, and today I'm going to give you guys my 20 picks of female artists that they must own vinyls if you come across them. Now my choices range from all kinds of different genres, and my picks are ones that some of them are just like, you don't really hear about, and I believe should be recognized more. And starting off is number 20 with Berlin, and this is Pleasure Victim, which is an EP which came out in '83. It's fronted by Terry Nunn. Now this had two singles on here, Sex, I'm a, and The Metro, which was played on MTV a lot when it came out. And they wouldn't really see a lot of success until the Top Gun soundtrack in '86 would Take My Breath Away. So this is that band, and this is Berlin. Next is the band X, another band that's led by a female of Exene is her name, and John Doe, or Joe, is I guess the boyfriend at the time. But they came out with this punk band, and it was produced by Raymond Zarek. And this is the first album, Los Angeles, and it contains the song Nausea, which was a really good song. And it's just like, if you guys never heard of this band, take a listen to it. It rocks. X. And another female that fronted a rock band is Plasmatics, and this is Wendy Williams. And this band is more of a, they went through different kinds of stages: punk, hardcore, and metal. I think the last album, one of the last albums they had, was Metal Priestess, and this is them right there. There's Wendy Williams. And she would come up on stage, and they were known for like all these antics that they would do. She would bring up a chainsaw and destroy things, a car or whatnot. But this is one of the albums here, Coup d'etat. I would recommend getting if you never heard of this band, Plasmatics. 17 is Eurythmics, and that's Annie Lennox. This doesn't contain the big hit Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. This one has Here Comes the Rain Again and Who's That Girl were the songs from this record. I just happen to like this album more, but I mean, they're all good, but just here to recognize her as one of the female artists that is worthy of owning a vinyl of, and that's the Eurythmics. So, as that music was kind of new wave-ish, but it had like her soul singing. You could really hear, and that's what made these kind of new wave bands in the early '80s have like Yazoo was another one with Alison Moyet, so all these electronic new wave sounds with soul vocals, And in the States at the time, we also had some new wave in the form of Minneapolis, and that was Vanity VI. Now this was a Prince protege band, and Vanity at the time was dating Prince, and this is the band that they put together, but it's pretty much Prince playing all the instruments, and it's kind of new wavy. The big hit here was Nasty Girl. This is them. Susan, Brenda are the other background singers. This record is always, or this group is not really taken seriously in the history of rock and roll, but I think the Nasty Girl is a great song. It's just like Prince kind of wrote the ultimate stripper song, right? So this all, and it's new wave pretty much, like songs like Makeup, which they put out his original, his estate put out the original version of Makeup with him singing it, you know, and him singing the songs that he gave to the time or to Kenny Rogers on a album called Originals, which is really cool. So you get to hear Prince's version of all these songs that he writes for people, and taking them back, or you know, they're just kind of releasing them so you could get to hear his mind, or you know, like Manic Monday, for example, his version on that is totally different than the one that he gave to the Bangles. It has a really cool middle 8 section, which is just kind of psychedelic. But this was one of his other bands, of course, in Vanity VI. And Denise Matthew, she passed away in 2014. And 2 weeks after that, then Prince passed away, you know. So it's kind of sad, but forever here on vinyl. Now, number 15 I have is LVII. Now, this is an all-female band, and this is the Sub Pop, you know, release that they had in the early, like in the mid, kind of like 93, when this came out. The songs Shove, Fast and Frightening are the ones that are known for this album, but they really got more popular later on in the mid-90s. They were on the soundtrack for Natural Born Killers for the song Shitless, and that album, but this was the one what they came out with first, what we always seen them with, LVII. Now, 14 is this band here, Evanescence. Now, this is considered like new metal in the year 2000, and it's fronted by, what was her name here? God, do I have to pull it out? God, I can't even think of her name off the top of my head, but, you know, she's a pianist, keyboardist, you know, she sings these songs on here. They're considered goth. People will always put them under goth metal or all kinds of things, but at that time in the early 2000s, this band emerged. I am going to find out what her name is, because it's on the top of my head. I should know these things, right? Amy Lee, right? There she goes, Amy Lee. And so, representing the metal sound and everything. I mean, there's all kinds of bands out there, of course. There's Dora Pesh and Lita Ford, but you know, it was a long time since we heard a woman fronting a kind of metal outfit, and so she kind of saved the thing, you know, I thought, and so it was really cool. So this is Evanescence, Fallen. Next at 13, Alanis Morissette. Now this album, Jagged Little Pill, was really successful in the 90s due to all, like, you know, she had like lots of singles on here. All I Really Want, You Ought to Know was the big one. And the musicians on here are well known. On You Ought to Know, there's Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction fame on the guitar, and Flea on bass. And of course, Taylor Hawkins, I think, joined the band to tour, but I don't believe he's on this. But there's Ironic, which was another hit song, and Hand in My Pocket, of course. So she makes it here at number 13. And number 12, an old classic, this is Patsy Cline, Today, Tomorrow, and Forever, coming in on the country binge here. Now, this album was released after she died. She died in a plane crash, and it was originally released on 4-Star Records and in the 1950s sessions. And these have not really that many hit singles on here. Really, just Walking After Midnight is the one. But it doesn't have the songs like I Fall to Pieces or Crazy, but I just like this collection. And this was done on Hilltop vinyl, and the cover is different than the original 4-star. But anything, of course, from Patsy is good, so I recommend that. Picking up any kind of Patsy in general. So that's number 12, and number 11, the Pretenders' first album. Lead singer Chrissie Hynde, guitar. This album came out like 1979, and it's very raw from the punk scene. That she was really, going to shows of the Pistols and all that. She was living in England. She's from America, and she put this band together and has the songs Precious on there. It starts off with Precious. Stop Your Sobbing is on there. Tattooed Love Boys is a great track, and of course Brass in Pocket, which is like a kind of a reggae thing that they did, and of course Mystery Cheap, and you can't forget that bass line. And this guy Pete Farden would pass away on heroin, and after the second record, but this is forever. This album from front to back, track to track, is awesome, and this is a MoFi in it edition of this pressing, and it sounds really good. So Pretenders, which brings us now to our top 10, and kicking off number 10 is an all-female band again, the Go-Go's. We can't forget them, and this is their second record, and a lot of them individually had solo success. Jane Whelan, of course, Belinda Carlisle, who would come back later on in the mid-80s with Mad About You and Circle in the Sand, those type of songs, and she became more pop and contemporary. But this is the second record where they were still feeling that success, and Vacation. It was a big hit. There you go, the Go-Go's. Now, of course, you couldn't have female artists not represented with ABBA, and this is Arrival, which was like I think the fourth album from them. This has, of course, Dancing Queen, Money, 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 is Knowing Me, Knowing You. Now, they're a band from Sweden, big pop success, and actually they put out an album in 2021 recently, and this album, there was another single, Fernando, which is not on this. It's on Arrival, but it's only on the Australian and New Zealand pressings, which is sad, but it would have been cool, but I don't got that version. This is the regular one, but ABBA is number 9. And next is Heart, okay? And this is Ann and Nancy Wilson. This is 70s classic rock. And this is the album with Magic Man and, of course, Crazy on You. And the two sisters here, I forgot, they went through all kinds of different band names. Before this was Whiteheart, and there's some other ones, but they settled on Heart, and they kind of went obscure at the late 70s, but then came back in the mid 80s with a whole new look, and that was at the time of the hair metal thing, and they had huge success from that period. And What About Love was one of their big hits. Never, and all those songs, but it all started here. Now, you think because they're sisters, there's always those type of bands with brothers and sisters, they always break up, they get into a lot of arguments, fights, and then they come back, like the Black Rose, the Kinks, all of those bands, CCR. They finally broke up in 2016, apparently, and his husband was arrested for assaulting her two 16-year-old twins. So that it led to the breakup of heart. And so that's too bad. Hopefully they'll work things out. Number 7, we have is Blondie. This is Parallel Lines, led by Deborah Harry. And I believe this is like the second or third album. I like this one because it has Hanging on the Telephone, One Way or Another. Heart of Glass, which was originally like a reggae song, which they turned into disco. But they're always known as like this punk band because their connection with the CBG thing. But I mean, they've done all kinds of things. They've even done hip hop, rap with, you know, the song Rapture out of the Auto America album. But this is one of their big albums here, and they had to be represented here. And so that's number 7, Blondie. Which brings us to 6 with Big Brother and the Holding Company. Now, this is led by lead vocals, of course, Janis Joplin. This is more of the psychedelic rock from the San Francisco scene. She left after this album. She departed, and apparently the story is from this guitar player was that Clive Davis told Janis to leave these guys. We'll get some great studio musicians, and just record some albums, solo albums, and I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what he was saying, and so that's what led to the departure of Janis leaving this band. But this is a masterpiece, and this is highly recommended. So there we go. Now number 5, we're entering the top 5. We got Joe and Jett and the Blackhearts, and this album, I Love Rock and Roll. Now, she's still on trekking today. She's on tour, on the stadium tour with Motley Crue, Poison, I believe, and Def Leppard, and so she's the opening band, and she's, her set is going to be just like amazing. I was seeing some of it. She has so many songs, so many hits, and on this album she has Crimson and Clover, of course I Love Rock and Roll, and she has other songs like Bad Reputation, Hate Myself for Loving You, so out of the Runaways, which she came from, she formed in the 70s. Her and Lita Ford has had success. Hers, I believe, she risen further than Lita Ford, but they both rock. And fortunately, Lita didn't make it on this, but as a runaway, but hadn't mentioned the Runaways because we got her from there and Lita, so it's great. So let's go to number 4, and of course we got Aretha Franklin. Now, this album, I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, was this is a Muscle Shoals recording. She recorded, has a big hit, Respect, and this is I got this is a side story because this album is this is a mono pressing, an original mono pressing. Look at this, it's beautiful. Now I got this from a friend, an old friend. His wife passed away, and he's all, I got a bunch of vinyls over there that used to belong to her, and just take them, and this and a lot of others. I mean this Cheap Thrills was another one that I got, and they're from 1967. And I was just like, wow. So however, there's always a story how you get records and stuff like that. And, but I didn't purchase this, but you know, there's a lot of love when I play it. So there's Aretha Franklin number 4. And number 3 is Fiona Apple. This is her debut, and you know, it's sort of just like you had to pick between one artist or another. Like, am I gonna, you know, like, for example, Berlin, that was number 20. It was either that or The Waitresses or something like that, you know, like I'll pick Berlin. And it was either this or Carole King. And I think Carole King, Tapestry, I mean, it's a great album, of course, but as the songwriters are concerned, I think that she's very, not really mentioned a lot. She's mentioned more for, you know, her crazy speech on MTV, how she said the world is all fucked up, you know, and all this other thing, all these other, you know, things about her. But I mean, with every kind of, how could you say, with all the lunacy and chaos and all the, you know, there's always great art that come from these people. And, you know, Fiona Apple is one of them. She's a survivor of all kinds of abuse and everything. And this album, Shadow Boxer, is a great song, of course. Sleep the Dream, of course, The Criminal was the big hit song on this, but her other albums are great as well. I mean, if you ever find them on vinyl, like, I'm still looking for Extraordinary Machine. That's one of my favorite ones. I have it on CD, but, you know, I like to see it on vinyl. So that's number 3. And another tragic case. Number 2 is Amy Winehouse, Back to Black. From beginning to end, this is a great record, great album. And I believe that she's they're putting out the Glastonbury live material. And you know, this is another album that, you know, that was nominated for so many Grammys and won a lot that night. And you know, there's nothing much to say about this album. It's just that, you know, you just can't hear one song from another. I mean, just, it's not one of those albums you play from the beginning to the end. It's just perfect. Everything is just it's a perfect album. And it's weird because I guess the big hit here is Rehab, which is the first track, and it sounds kind of like, at first sometimes it doesn't fit with the rest of the body of work, but then again it does. But this is a great album, and it's my number 2, and which is odd because she covered a song which is a good segue to my number 1 artist, and that would be Lauryn Hill. This is the number 1, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Amy would, Winehouse would cover Doo-Wop, that thing, live. And so, and this is another album here that, you know, had a lot of nominations. It had like 10 nominations, Grammys, and she took home like 5 in 1998. This was recorded in Tough Gong in Kingston. She married Bob Marley's son, and this is the only studio album she had. Of course, she, just like Fiona, she's gone through a lot of situations. She was even in prison for taxes and just all kinds of just, you know, troubled things in her career. And her second record, actually, which I have too, was really good, the Unplugged one. She kind of talks about that in between songs. It's just her on the guitar and just playing unplugged, but she kind of goes into different situations. But The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was her only solo album, and it's brilliant from top to bottom. You know, he had hits like X Factor to Zion, which was has Carlos Santana on lead guitar as guest. Of course, Doo-Wop, That Thing. and there's Mary J. Blige on one of these songs as well. Everything is Everything. She does a cover of I Can't Take My Eyes Off You. So this is my number one album for female artists that you must have. It's, you know, because people, you know, she always had like all this controversy around there, like she's a racist and all this stuff, and which she clarified, you know, because there's some jealous people out there like saying bad things about people when they, you know, I guess it's just jealous, but it doesn't take away from the great album she made. And she's still on tour now. And I don't think she said she's going to make any more albums. She says she's kind of done with making albums. She just kind of tours. And she always has like a different band. I saw her like in 2009 or two, you know, at a hip hop festival in San Bernardino, Rock the Bells. And she was amazing. She went by Miss Laura Deal now, of course. But yeah, this is my number one for must-have female artists. And you know, I just wanted to just kind of go through, of course, ones that couldn't make it. You know, like I was saying, like there's The Waitresses, there's, you know, Carole King, of course, Stevie Nicks, Garbage, you know, Alicia Keys, right? Even this album, the new album by Billie Eilish, this is a really great album. It's like electro pop with kind of like jazz, a lot of jazz, bossa nova, sort of Nora Jones without the boredom. So that's all I got. You know, comment below, you know, what other female artists you think should have made it. There's so many, you know, so many great artists out there. And I'll see you in the next video.